Hi Gavin, you are the Chief Executive at CABE. Can you maybe explain a little bit about your role?
Yeah, so the Chartered Association of Building Engineers is one of the professional bodies that looks after the technical specialists within the built environment. By Royal Charter, I'm full member of the UK Engineering Council. And increasingly in a post-Grenfell, post-construction skills market, very much around engaging with the next generation and ensuring competency of the people we need for this industry to be able to deliver the buildings that perform for the future.
Excellent. You were involved in the development of the Future Home Standard. This standard will see that all new homes built by 2025 will produce 75 to 80% less carbon emissions than homes delivered under current regulations. Are we really ready to meet this goal?
The short answer is absolutely yes, and it's also essential and completely necessary. Unfortunately, with the climate crisis, energy issues, we can't keep kicking this can down the road. We really must get our homes performing. I had the opportunity as a member of the Building Regulations Advisory Committee to chair the Future Home Standard work, which was very much around moving the building regulations forward again in a joined up, forward-looking, progressive way that brings together both the energy performance of homes, but also in a way that avoids some of the unintended consequences that can occur when you change one part of the building regulations without considering its impact on the others, but also understanding the homes we're building today are going to be working and having to perform in a very different climate than we are today. So it's also about building in elements of climate resilience for the future.
Absolutely. And there's been a lot of talk about the performance gap, the difference between as modeled and as built. Are we anywhere closer to closing this gap, you think?
Oh, that's actually a very tough question, and ultimately it's a very, very complicated issue. There's lots of people, lots of products, lots of construction details, all come together to determine how a building performs. And so we know there is a problem. Lots of research has been done on this, and when we take into account what I call the known unknowns, so the way we design and model buildings, and the way also the factors around the way individuals use their homes, even when all those factors are taken into account, there's still far too wide a range of performance, which can only be accounted for on construction, material substitution, and workmanship issues. So as an industry, particularly for house buildings, if they're genuinely going to perform at the standard we need them to, we have to get much, much better and much more disciplined in designing buildings to a very detailed level, including all their components, details, and services. Yeah. We need to be much more meticulous in the way that we build those and document how we build them, so that if something doesn't happen on site, and it happens all the time, someone goes back to designers, someone goes back to the energy modelers, and check if we're going to do this different to what was specified, is that still going to be okay? And we're going to have to document it in a way that so that ways can, these buildings can, we're ultimately building what we say we're building. That's a very high-level concept. Making it happen in reality requires us to join up product designers, product specifiers, product manufacturers, along with housing designers, house builders, all their complicated supply chains. Yeah. So it's going to be a much more integrated supply chain, a much greater focus on the performance of individual elements and how those elements of a building come together and affect everything else. And so we have to go on this journey. Otherwise, as we move to 2025 and expect much, much higher performance buildings, the performance gap could really exacerbate that. But at the same time, it's going to be a difficult nut to crack. So we're starting to introduce a number of measures, which is about greater transparency, things like site photographs, people signing off and taking responsibility for what they're building on site. That's about creating some transparency. It's about creating some accountability, but it's also about arming future building users with the information, if something goes wrong, to maybe be able to track back and fix it.
Absolutely. And with more stringent regulations coming in, this gap, which can be attributed, as you say, to a number of factors such as changing specification, quality of construction, and how people use their homes, is surely going to be even more important than moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. And it's really, really complicated. And so bringing all those elements together in a way on a construction site where they actually perform on the backdrop of real skills shortages in the industry. So how we're detailing products, are there new products out there that can more reliably perform, give the level of performance needed, but perhaps don't need as much on-site skill, or are just much less likely to go wrong, so resilience and robustness. Some people are exploring off-site options, and how it all integrates with building services becomes a really important part of a very difficult jigsaw.
For sure. And there are a number of parts of the building regulations that are now being referred to as FLOS, namely part F, L, O, and S, right? Are we going to see a more joined up approach to regulations that will hopefully help address some of the issues such as the performance gap that we spoke about, overheating and ventilation?
Well, I certainly hope so. I think one of the challenges we've had in the building regulatory environment is we've been looking at one policy area at a time and not considering how that interfaces with other parts of the building. So the fact that the Future Home Standard encompasses two major revisions to two parts of the building regulations and the introduction of two entirely new parts as a joined up package, I think sends a very clear message that that is what is going to happen in the future, and of course is absolutely necessary in order to achieve the performance we need.
So one of your key areas of interest is working for a more professional construction sector, and I think we can all agree with that, but can you expand a bit on that vision?
Yeah, it's something I'm really, really passionate about, because I actually want us to be a sector that actually delivers, but also a sector that people can be proud to work in. And so at the Chartered Association of Building Engineers, we're all about providing the competent people and assurance of competence for the industry to have the skills it needs. But it's also about hopefully, creating an industry that people really want to be in. People want to come to work. They won't just want to do their job and go home and hope it's going to be okay. And all too often in construction, sometimes things go horribly wrong or sideways. Actually, most people do want to feel like they're contributing. They do want to feel like they're meeting some broader gains. It's not just about doing a great job and hopefully making a really great living for themselves, something proud of, adding value to their employer, adding value and improving the homes for people living in the future. That's something that's really, really exciting, and that's the sort of thing, industry, that hopefully the next generation of building engineers and construction professionals will get excited about and enjoying this sector, because we need their skills and they can make a difference here.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Gavin.
Very welcome. It's been a pleasure.